That's right. But I mean, and that's what I love about the Brotherhood group, is that you guys are trying to bring attention to all of our problems. But getting back to George LaFalla, they tried to make this man who has spent a lot of his own time and lost a lot of his own money trying to get this paper up and running. They've tried to just completely bash him and his character and destroy his reputation, as they're now doing to me, to Arnie, to Johnny Holmes, to George Casp, to John Henry Assable, the incredible man who has created owners out of lease drivers that probably never would have known that they had it in them to actually own their own medallion. He put this hope and understanding of what they were capable of in them. They're bashing this man. They're bashing everybody who opposes their ideas. This is not a principled organization. Furthermore, George LaFalla found a very intelligent labor attorney. I believe his name is Thomas Gagan. The UTCC has went behind George LaFalla's back and tried to get that attorney, knowing they have the funds because they have funds from the American Friends Service Committee, to use to steal that attorney. They tried to steal an attorney that's already working with a group of cab drivers, and that's just downright dirty.
So, you're talking about, make sure we all understand this, a very unprincipled, diabolical, untrusting, semi-group of cab drivers. Am I correct? Would that be a adequate assumption?
Absolutely.
Okay. Now, let's look at it this way. We have Nigerian, Iranian, Pakistani. Who else out there?
Well, we have a whole United Nation out there of taxi drivers.
Okay.
Let's put it like that.
Okay, so we're going by a United Nations. Now, what are the friends of who?
American Friends Service Committee.
Okay, well, they too stupid to understand English, so let's jump to the mosque. Logic dictates, along with teachings from the Quran, is you're supposed to understand people, relate to people, and work with people. Take your friends of whatever they are and shove them down the drain. Come forth to sit down with all cab drivers. Because I don't care where you come from, we all are cab drivers. Sit down and have a simple, plain conversation to, one, make all drivers comfortable and they work comfortable with what's going on, comfortable in dealing with the city, comfortable in dealing with the police. These are some of the things we should be doing, no matter what kind of driver you are, where you come from, and where you're going back. No matter whether you're driving for 2 weeks or 50, 60 years. Because we got some people out there been around for about 60 years, driving the cab.
I would like to add on one.
How can you add on and I'm not through? But go ahead, Mr. Cab.
The day of this so-called strike, I was in the staging area, and Mr. Inger was walking around talking to various cab drivers about the strike. So I called him over to the cab. I said, Peter, what are you doing? Haven't you learned anything? His quote to me was, we're going to show you what a strike is. You've never seen an organization like this. I looked at him, I said, Peter, good luck and have a nice day. And I went back to reading my newspaper. And then when the strike started, he showed us what a strike is. 5 cabs left the airport. Very great organization.
But he also showed you his organization. Because I've never known an organization that lie about everything. Some place, I mean, everybody lies about a little of this, a little of that, you know. I mean, I even remember one time I used to lie to myself and told me I look good. Then I looked in the mirror and scared myself to death. I stopped that. But everybody lies a little. So we ain't going to go there.
Wasn't this a distortion?
Huh?
Wasn't this just a distortion of the truth?
No, this is a lie. Because, see, the part of it is what also took place out at O'Hare was people were threatening people. We're going to take pictures. We're going to be watching. How do you form an organization threatening people, talking about you taking pictures and we watching you?
I received physical threats of violence on my cell phone.
They were only kidding. In the true spirit of Thanksgiving, you don't threaten people. They were only kidding.
Let me back up a little, since you're being sarcastic. If you remember, the most important part about that is the majority of these people don't celebrate Thanksgiving. So they ain't got nothing to do with the true spirit. And I hate to give you the bad news, a large part of them don't celebrate Christmas neither. So let's don't go there.
You know, there was something else happening that day too. You kept people who work for Yellow Checker, anybody had Gandalfs in their cars. You'll see called screen periodically where you need taxis at O'Hare, Midway, and this. For people who do not know what was happening, on your Gandalf there's a little code. You punch it in. Any place you want a cab, you can punch it in to show that. We need cabs at O'Hare. We need cabs at Midway. We need cabs at McCormick Place. And there was plenty of cabs at McCormick Place. There were plenty of cabs at O'Hare. And Mr. Cash used to do that, didn't you?
I never did anything like that.
Yeah.
You see, like Mr. Holliday was saying, that's, again, I don't want to vary off the course too much of what we're talking about, but one of the things on that Gandalf, any driver can randomly, like Cliff said, punch in the code, and it automatically goes to the entire fleet.
Let me ask you this question, honey.
Yes, sir.
I passed McCormick Place. I know for a fact it was no less than 200 cabs because they were almost down to 31st Street.
It was on the Gandalf.
No, I'm just saying, we're not talking about that. I'm just talking about what I saw. Now, you were at O'Hare Field, and they had how many rows of cabs there?
There was always 19 rows of cabs, never
now, how
empty.
many was there when they left for the strike?
When they left
so
for
you
the
told me, yeah. How many was there when the 5 cabs pulled out?
When the 5 cabs pulled out, there were 17 rows filled. Okay. And cabs were still coming in to fill the additional 2 rows.
Now, at Midway, it was boxed up. I got that information from a social mind, Mr. Lawrence Young. It was filled. Now, I was downtown beside McCormick, and like I say, every hotel had cabs. Now the question, and it's a simple question, and they always say you don't beat a dead horse, but my opinion is not only do you beat it, you shoot it. And I'm saying this over and over again because if 3,500 cabs was not on the street, then explain to me where's all these cabs coming from?
Well, there was only one cab where I was. No, there were 2. fella, you know a fella named Tom tried the handicap cab?
Yeah.
He went to Midway when they say Midway need cabs. He couldn't get in. He had to turn around and come back. So he came down to the hospital. That's where I was sitting by the hospital reading my paper.
You know, I think we're all living a dream here. I think this whole thing, we're just living a dream. They needed cabs everywhere. You know, I think we didn't rub our eyes that day and wake up or something. This was just a dream. This was a highly successful strike. Highly successful.
You don't understand, honey. As I tell people, and my license approves it, I'm legally blind in my right eye. So all I got is one eye. Now the one eye I'm not blind in, so a whole lot of cabs. Now maybe the blind eye didn't see that. But the one that could see, it was a whole lot of cabs on the street. Now my question is, with all these cabs on the street, all this wisdom about people teaching you how to strike, about people threatening you, we're going to take your picture, we're going to be watching, people claiming we passed Wittenberg's law. I mean, think about that. The UTCC say we passed Wittenberg's law. First off, I wouldn't want to take credit for anything that's even sound like a Wittenberg, because I don't even know what that is. But we're going to overlook that part. And we're going to move to, we have talked to different people and different organizations. Now, can anybody show me on their license where a set group belongs to a set organization, or does a city chauffeur license say City of Chicago chauffeur? Or does it say Pakistani City of Chicago, or Nigerian City of Chicago, or Bangladesh City of Chicago? Which one did it show?
Maybe.
Because I must be, well, you know what mine says? Mine says pass through City of Chicago, because I'm just passing through. But does anybody beside mine say anything other than City of Chicago?
Maybe this group or organization, whatever they call themselves, maybe their chauffeur's license, because they're a very special group of people, maybe their chauffeur's license says UTCC. They're a very special group of people. They're highly organized.
Well, listen, do me a favor.
They're influential, you know.
Because the chairman never talks to me. Only person I ever got a chance to talk to was Peter. When you see the chairman, ask him to give me a call, because I need to check out what license he got. But now, here's something that we need to address. And since they are so influential, why don't they tell the friends of what to call yourself?
The American Friends. Yeah.
The American Friends, to give a class on how to get around in the city of Chicago, if they really want to help. If they want to help, have the Friends give English lessons so people can speak better English. Because what people fail to understand, I don't care where you come from, Republic of Congo, Nigeria, Ghana, Liberia, the back hills of Mississippi, I don't care where you come from. It's certain rules that govern this country. And one of those are, according to the city of Chicago, you must know where you're going, and you must be able to speak and understand English. Now, if you achieve those goals, that would do more to unite cab drivers in this city, because we are being bashed, because we are being portrayed as ignorant, illiterate, downright stupid. And these are the things we need to turn around so people would have more respect for us, so we can do better, and therefore we can accomplish more. Or do any of you fine, upstanding people disagree with this pass-through person? Because like I said, I'm just passing through.
I agree with that. I think that that's a great idea. I think that there are not enough drivers that communicate with their passengers and have conversations with them in the cabs and do that. So I think that you're right. That is important.
Now, you want to know what I always find funny? Every time someone gets in my cab and says, "Oh, you speak English. I got an American cab driver." I said, "I'm not American. I'm just floating through. But I speak broken English." And then they look at me like, you know, "Hey, you crazy."
Well, you know, another thing happens. These drivers, they speak English. I won't say the best English, but they speak English. At any rate, they talk to each other on the phone in their own language. It irritates the hell out of passengers if you're going to talk while you're driving your car. Well, the city would prefer you didn't talk at all. But if you do, speak English. Because I have people complain about it all the time. These people get in the car, so they think they're talking about them because they don't know what they are saying. And they be speaking to each other. Maybe they be getting directions. There are a lot of reasons for them to be talking. I saw a strange thing not long ago when I was on my way over here. The woods in Madison Street. And there was this driver headed to St. Luke Hospital over there. And he had got lost.
Madison and Wood?
Madison and Wood.
Go to St. Luke's?
And he was trying to find the hospital. And I kept showing it to him because you could see it from where I was. I had to send him down to Ashland because that's where he had to get across the expressway, you know. Yeah. And he just could not understand how you gonna get over there. But he was speaking, but not too good.
Well, the whole situation with cab drivers with telephones, when that passenger is sitting on that back seat, and the cab driver takes the liberty to get on the telephone, that passenger is going to get a little bit worried and maybe a little bit disturbed and might make a complaint. And fellow cab drivers, I'm trying to tell you, do not get on the phone with the passenger in the car. You're leaving yourself open for unnecessary aggravation. You might explain to the passenger if it's an emergency phone call, and maybe you'll hope that the passenger understands an emergency phone call.
Mr. Cass.
That's great advice.
This is something, and you just said it, and it's, I mean, I can find a way, or I figured out a way how to, for instance, somebody, how do you see, I can't remember their name, so I must
American
not think
friends.
much of them.
Yeah.
American friends of the foot. But anyway, I figured out a way how they can assist somebody. If they want to help, because they haven't did it, but if they want to consider helping cab drivers or their cab driver, say, I didn't know they owned them, but they say their cab driver. But if they want to help them, why don't they hire a couple of lawyers to send them down to 400 West Superior and help cab drivers? Because when you go down there, if you think you being treated bad by the city, what do you walk in front of that hearing officer? This is a man, all women, they got a few women. The first thing they tell you is, I'm not a city of Chicago employee. The part they don't tell you is, but yes, they paying me my money. So I don't understand how you are not an employee and they paying you.
The phrase,
No, wait a minute.
I'm sorry.
Let's make sure we understand this. Then you go in there to the little room and the lady says, this is your offense. Now we normally charge $750, but because you a nice person, we're gonna give you a break and only charge you $150 in court costs. Now, the problem with that is, if you miss your inspection, like a friend of ours did, because he was in the hospital, and they wrote him a ticket for missing the inspection and popped his medallion, and he went down there and told them, hey, they popped my medallion. I didn't mean to. I was in the hospital. And they said, we're going to do you a favor. We ain't going to charge you $750. We're only going to charge you $450. Now, thinking about that, don't you think some lawyers would be much better down there helping the city from this, lifting the money right out your pockets, instead of threatening people to go on strike and lose more money? Does that make any sense? Which one do y'all think?
Well, I think that as long as the American Friends Service Committee has been around, they've been all about getting in front of the media and getting their name out there, because the bottom line is they are an organization, nonprofit, and they do rely on donations in order to keep their organization afloat. So it's much more beneficial for them to be out in front of the media saying we're the American Friends Service Committee, letting people know that they're an organization that needs donations, that they exist, rather than being hidden somewhere in a court hearing facility. What is it, a hearing facility?
Yes.
Administrative hearing.
Where no one is going to see them. Their good deeds are going to go unnoticed.
Excuse me. I know I have a mental condition, and I'm off of my Ritalin right at the moment. But did you say that their good deeds are going to go unnoticed?
Yes.
I tell you what, you go down to 400 West Superior and talk to at least 500 drivers that come through there. And the whole day, probably 1,000, who lose between no less than $100 all the way up to $750. And I saw one dude that had to pay $4,500. And you tell me if somebody will not think and be much appreciable to keep that money in their pocket.
My point
They
is,
will be noticed.
I agree with you, but that's not the way I'm talking about it. It would be appreciated by drivers, but they make it a point to stay in the media. They make it a point all the time to get in Channel 9, Channel 7, Channel 5, WBBM, Fox, everywhere.
Melissa, you said clearly that they are working to help the drivers. The Moss asked them to help the drivers.
Right.
That will help drivers way more than you threatening
Johnny,
them, talking about, I'm going to take your picture because you didn't strike with us.
Johnny, there's no argument. You're not having an argument with me about this.
No,
I
we're
agree
not
with you.
arguing.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. I agree with you wholeheartedly. But the bottom line is these people are not going to do some good deed that they're not going to get some sort of credit for, because they're all about getting credit.
So in other words, what you telling me, let's cut to the chase.
Okay.
That these people are not here to help the drivers that they, quote, claim they come to help. They here to help themselves. So therefore, Mr. Holliday has the answer to his question. Why does Partique do this? It's all about money. You
Yes.
got your answer, Ms.
You're
Holliday.
absolutely right. He's not here for his health. And he's not here to help Melissa get a medallion.
No, because she already got one.
I know.
You missed the beginning of the picture.
Oh, that's right. But you didn't get your medallion yet.
Listen, I tell you, I run down and get mine before somebody snatch it. I want you to know that. But now, Mr. Cass got something to say because he didn't rear back in his chair. Go ahead, Mr. Cass.
Well, the thing that I don't understand is with this American Friends Service Committee, if their interest is in helping the driver, any cab driver who has been in the industry for any length of time at all knows that when you walk into 400 West Superior with money in your pocket, you're going to leave with a lesser amount of money in your pocket or you're not getting out of that building. Now,
they let everybody out the building.
After the administrative hearing winds its course, you're let out of the building.
The administrative hearing does not wind its course. The man swears you in. He said if you talk to the people in the back room and you plead guilty. Now that's the winding of the thing.
Well, what I'd like to know is, does the word exploitation enter anywhere into this so-called discussion that we're having in relation to the American Friends Service Committee?